Hello and greetings to members of the Elite Travel Club. I'm Brian from the UK. I've designed these lessons so you can use and learn English. Welcome! We're going to start the lesson, but we're going to start it in the same way that somebody who trains starts something. Now, whatever language you speak will be very different to English. So you must learn how to use your face muscles. By using your face muscles, you change the epiglottis. When you change the epiglottis, you have a more authentic accent. Now, I will demonstrate by doing a simple exercise which you can all copy. The exercise allows you to move your face. Now, watch my face. My father's car is a Jaguar. My father's car is a Jaguar. One last time. My father's car is a Jaguar. Now, you see what I'm doing. Now watch again. I'll just do it one more time slowly. My father's car is a Jaguar. So, I will show you where your tongue should be and where your lips should be. My is both lips. Father's. The bottom lip is under the top teeth. My father's car. Car is in the neck. Is. All S's in English are snakes. They're either very big snakes, s, or small snakes, s. So, my father's car is a Jaguar. Okay, so my father's car is a Jaguar. Just try that. Thank you. Okay, that advert was purely to help you make the sound of English. Now, this exercise is to help you pronounce every letter in the English alphabet. Now, listen to the sentence and try and repeat. And bear in mind, when you are repeating, you're actually saying all the letters in the English alphabet. Here we go. The lazy fox jumped over the crooked fence. The lazy fox jumped over the crooked fence. And just one more time. The lazy fox jumped over the crooked fence. Now, the tongue for the is behind the teeth. The lazy. The mouth expands. The lazy. Fox, once again, the bottom lip touches the top teeth. Fox. The lazy fox jumps Now, all P's in England explode. So, Paul, Peter, Pan. So, the lazy fox jumps over the crooked fence. So, crooked is in the throat. Fence is once again the lip under the teeth. So I'll repeat it slowly so you can see how my mouth moves and my tongue. The lazy fox jumps over the crooked fence. Okay, we've done the exercise. Now let's do words, namely greetings. Now it's very important to greet people properly, and literally that starts at hello. So let's try hello, hello, hello slightly raises. So once again, hello. Now you can see my mouth widens quite a lot. I'll say it slowly. Hello, hello. So it widens and my lips purse. Hello. This is how we say hello. Not ella or ella. We say hello. Hello. Okay, we've learned hello. That's a good word to use. However, in England and in most other languages, different times of the day have different greetings. For example, in the morning we say good morning. Now, if you listen, it slightly sings. Good morning. So, if you look at my face again, good. Now, good, I'm pursing my lips. Morning, morning, good morning. Okay, then we lift it a little bit towards the end. Good morning. Okay, so it's almost like singing. Now, in the afternoon, we say, good afternoon, good afternoon. And we say it in a way which is greeting. So, it raises slightly, like good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You make it so somebody wants to listen to you. Good afternoon. Okay? Now, on a night, we say good evening. Good evening. Now, good evening is slightly more serious. We're not going up, we're not going down. It's almost a neutral delivery, if you listen. Good evening. Good evening. If you listen to the news on BBC television, they always say, good evening. Good evening. On tonight's news, anyway, I'm not a newscaster. So, remember, it is good evening. Good evening. Yes? Okay? Not like good morning or good afternoon. Evening is neutral. Good evening. Then, of course, when we're ready for bed or we want to sleep, we say good night. Good night. Once again, it's neutral. Good night. How you say hello, how you greet people is very important. A simple greeting with hello is, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Now, the usual reply is, I'm very well, thank you. So you ask, hello, how are you? And the person answers, oh, I'm very well, thank you. Now we have different ways of introducing ourselves and asking hello. For example, the formal hello is, hello, how do you do? Hello, how do you do? Oh, thank you for asking, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking, I'm very well, thank you. Now we also have what we would call a casual greeting. The casual greeting can be hi or hi or even hiya. Yeah? You wouldn't say that to your boss, you wouldn't say it to anybody official, you would just say it to your friend. So if you saw your friend across the street, you'd say hiya or how are you doing? That is another greeting. Now, if you're meeting the head of the firm or somebody very important, it would be, hello, how do you do? Hello, how do you do? Or, hello, how are you? But remember, if it's friends, you can say, hi, how's it going? Hi, how's it going? So we have formal and informal introductions. It's very important not to mix the two up. If you mix the two up, you can be laughed at by your friends, or you can be in trouble with your boss. I wouldn't recommend either one. We're going to deal with now meeting for the first time. Now, you can meet a new friend for the first time, or you meet a client for the first time, or you just meet a stranger for the first time. You introduce yourself slightly differently. So, I'm meeting you for the first time. Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. And what's your name? Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. And what's your name? One more time. Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. Oh, and what's your name? Okay, so this is how we introduce ourselves formally to people. Informally, I would probably say, "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" Notice, a little bit more casual. Once again, don't mix them up. If you're talking to somebody official or somebody who is important, especially for the first time, use the correct address. We're going to deal with now meeting for the first time. Now, you can meet a new friend for the first time, or you meet a client for the first time, or you just meet a stranger for the first time. You introduce yourself slightly differently. So, I'm meeting you for the first time. "Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. And what's your name?" "Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. And what's your name?" One more time. "Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you. Oh, and what's your name?" Okay, so this is how we introduce ourselves formally to people. Informally, I would probably say, "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" "Hi, I'm Brian, and you are?" Notice, a little bit more casual. Once again, don't mix them up. If you're talking to somebody official or somebody who is important, especially for the first time, use the correct address. Okay, what I'm going to try and do is show a typical greeting conversation. Okay? Now, I'm meeting a new client. She is Chinese. Okay? So, I will say, "Hello, I'm Brian Barrett." She may reply in several ways, but she's likely to say, "Hello, I'm Jenny Chong." "Hello, I'm Jenny Chong. Pleased to meet you." "Hello, I'm Jenny Chong. Pleased to meet you." And I would say, "I'm very pleased to meet you as well, Jenny." "I'm very pleased to meet you as well." Now, if I know Jenny, it's completely different. It would be something like this. "Hi, Jenny." "Oh, hi, Brian. How's it going?" "Oh, it's going really, really well." Okay? Now, if I didn't know Jenny, but it was a casual setting, like at a party, I would probably go up and go, "Hi, I'm Brian. What's your name?" "Jenny." "Oh, hi, Jenny. How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm good. How are you doing?" So, once again, don't mix the two up. Yeah? And also, look interested, sound interested. Use the intonation of your voice to make somebody want to talk to you. You know, for example, "Hello, I'm Brian Barrett. How are you? Pleased to meet you." Not, "Hi, I'm Brian Barrett. Pleased to meet you." Doesn't work. Same in a party. "Hi, I'm Brian. Who are you?" "Oh, you're Jenny. Pleased to meet you." It's all about using your voice, using your intonation, speaking clearly. Don't make the mistake of speaking too fast, because you may say words wrong, or even worse, somebody will have to say, sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay? Thank you. Okay, we're going to train your ear, because obviously when people speaking English, it is very different to your native language. So I'm going to go through a few names which are popular in England. Okay, we'll start with my own name, Bryan. Bryan, okay? Sometimes it's shortened to Bry. But generally speaking, somebody will say Bryan, okay? Another name, which is very popular, is James. James. Notice, James. Yeah? James. Which, ironically, is shortened to Jimmy. Yeah? Jimmy. Another popular name is Dan, which is short for Daniel. Now, we also have Paul. Paul is a very sort of, common name, yeah? There isn't really a construction of Paul, so most people who are called Paul generally are called Paul. We also have women's names. We have Jane, Tracy, Sonia, Sharon, many names. But just get used to listening to them, because sometimes it's said with an accent. For example, if you hear my name with a Yorkshire accent, it sounds very different. Instead of it being Brian, it's Brian. Sounds more like Ryan, Ryan. Deeper, deeper. So, practice listening. Practice listening is very important. The easy way to practice listening is to listen to a radio station, a talking radio station, and try and understand the words. See how many words you can pick out. In the beginning, it will just sound like gobbledygook, but eventually your ear will start understanding the words. It's training. The same way you train to ride a bike is the same way you train to listen. Okay, we're going to do an exercise where we introduce friends. So we're out, we maybe meet in a bar, or we meet in a restaurant, or we could meet in a park. So imagine I'm with a group of friends in a park, and I see you, I go, hi, how are you doing? This is informal, by the way. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, this is my friend Paul. This is, I forget your name. Yeah, okay. How do you do? This is Jenny. Jenny, this is my friend from work. If you don't know the name, say how you know the person. My friend from work, or my colleague from work. You've met Paul, have you? Oh no, this is Paul. Okay, this is Paul. That's great. Yeah, we're all going to go to the cinema. What are you guys doing? Okay, what are you guys doing? Now, formally, it would be completely different. Completely different. It would be, hello, how you do? how are you doing? How do you do? May I introduce my friend Paul? Paul, this is my boss from work. How do you do? Thank you. Oh, Paul, do you mind if I introduce Jenny to you? Jenny, this is my boss from work. Now you notice it's completely different. I use the word may I. Yeah, I ask for permission. Maybe my boss is busy. Maybe he has to go somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to me. But however, he stopped. So, just remember, we have informal and we have formal. If you're meeting somebody important like your boss, may I introduce? May I introduce? If it's your friend, casually, you just say, hi, have you met Paul? Have you met Jenny? Yeah? If it's your boss or somebody official, may I introduce Paul? Okay. And may I introduce my friend Jenny? So remember that once again, official and unofficial, casual and formal. Okay, I need to find out a name, yeah? So how do I do that? Difficult, isn't it? Actually, it's not difficult. I just ask, excuse me, what is your name? Your name is Jane. Can you spell that for me? Jane. Oh, cool, cool. The old-fashioned way of spelling it. Oh, that's pleased to meet you, Jane. I'm Brian. I'm Brian. My last name is Barrett. You probably know that, yeah? What is your name, Jane? Smith. Is that S-M-I-T-H? Oh, that's cool. Now, that's the casual way of doing it. If we were doing it formally, for example, we're in charge of people, or we're having to meet clients, or it's part of your work to meet people, then we do it a completely different way. So, it would be, hello, may I introduce myself? I'm Brian Barrett. What is your name? Ah, your name is Jane Smith. Okay, Jane. Is that J-A-Y-N-E? Oh, cool. That's really good. J-A-N-E. Okay, J-A-N-E. Brilliant. And Smith, S-M-I-T-H? Oh, that's great. So, you're Jane Smith. May I ask which department you work for, Jane? Or may I ask, what is your holiday destination? May I ask, what is your business in this establishment? These are just formal applications for a name, but it's very important. Once again, casually, hi Jane, I'm Brian. Oh, that's great. Yeah, everything's really cool. How do you spell your name? Completely different, yeah? So once again, try and remember not to cross the two, formal and informal. Okay, we're going to practice listening to names. Okay, so John. John. This is spelt J-O-N. John. Okay, we have Sarah. S-A-R-A. We have Stephen. S-T-E-V-E-N. And we have Chris. But it's spelled with a K, yeah? It's a modern spelling. Chris. Chris, spelled with a K. Now, we also have John. John. J-O-H-N. And we also have Sarah. Sarah. Like Sarah, but slightly different. Sarah. We also have Stephen. Stephen. with PH, so it's Stephen. And we also have Catherine, Catherine. And we have Chris with a C, Chris, Chris. So I'll run through them again. John, Sarah, Stephen, Catherine, Chris. John, Sarah, Stephen, Catherine, and Chris. Okay? The Catherines are pretty similar. If you were very posh, you could stress and say Catherine, Catherine, yes? But you have to be careful with stressing names because you could upset people. Okay, we're going to recap, yeah? First, we're going to do informal. Okay, so we're walking down the street, yeah? And one of your friends says to you, "Are you all right?" You go, "Yeah, I'm fine." Now please remember, in English, they don't really want to know how you are. So if your friend says, "Hi, are you all right?" and you go, "No, it's really terrible, my life's awful, my budgie has just died, you're not going to believe the state I'm in," then your friend is probably going to go, "Oh, okay, bye," and gone. Okay? So, we just answer fine in the same way that you would answer good morning, how do you do? Okay? Now, it's the same when you're doing it formally. You shake hands with somebody, "Hello, I'm Brian, how do you do?" The person will say, "Oh, very well, thank you." Yes? They won't say, "No, my budgie just died." So, "Hello, how do you do?" "Not very well, my budgie just died." They won't say this. They will say, "Fine, thank you." Yes? So, they could be shot in the arrow with a back, but they will still say, "Fine, thank you." So remember that. When somebody asks you, "Are you okay? How do you do?" they want the most positive answer, not a negative one. So, "How do you do?" "I'm fine." Okay, how do we get a phone number? How do we get a name and a phone number? Pretty simple. We just ask. So, I ask, "Hi, what's your name?" "Oh, Jenny." "Jenny, oh, that's cool. Do you have a phone number, Jenny?" "Yeah, you have a phone number." "Oh, that's great. What's your phone number?" "Oh, 0998. Oh, that's brilliant." And you take the phone number. Yeah? However, if we are at a business meeting, we would probably ask for a business card, or we would ask in a formal manner. It would be, "Excuse me, may I take your phone number?" "Excuse me, may I take your phone number?" Casually, it would be, "Hey, do you have a phone number I can take?" "Hey, do you have a phone number I can take?" Formally, it would be, "May I take your phone number, please?" "May I take your phone number?" Informally, "Hey, have you got a phone number I can have?" Yeah? "Hey, have you got a phone number I can have?" So, do you have a phone number I can have? Okay, now you know about greeting, what we have to understand is something called ice breaking. Now, I don't care where you live, most people don't like to be just suddenly asked for their name or asked for their phone number. You know, you stood there, you're minding your own business, somebody walks up and says, "Hey, can I have your phone number?" You'd be like, "Oh my goodness me." Even if they asked you politely, "Excuse me, may I have your name and phone number?" Well, unless it was an arresting officer, I would probably have to think twice about it. Okay, so we have to find ways to start conversations. If you're in England, it is very easy to start a conversation because everybody in England talks about two things. One is the weather, and two, how awful public transport is. Okay, so let's use the weather informally. "Hey, how are you doing? It's really great day today. I'm really enjoying the sun." Okay? So, "Hey, how are you doing? It's a really great day today. I'm really enjoying the sun." Let's try it formally. "Hello, how are you? I was noticing the weather is really good today. Are you of the same opinion?" So, "Hey, I'm noticing." No, that's casual, my mistake. So you say, "Hello, I was just noticing that the weather is rather good today. Are you of the same opinion?" "Hello, I was noticing that the weather is rather good today. Are you of the same opinion?" And the person would say, "Oh yes, the weather is rather good, isn't it?" Yes? Now, the joke about England always raining isn't a joke. So, chances are you're going to have to describe what the weather is like. So, let's have a look at describing the weather when it rains. Okay, first I'll do it informally. "Oh, hey, how are you doing? I just got in before the rain started spitting." "Hi, how are you doing? I just got in the building before the rain started spitting." Now, spitting rain it's quite thick rain. It's not running very quickly, but you're starting to notice it. So if I say it formally, I would say, "Oh my goodness, I just got into the building before the weather started to become inclement." Okay? I just got into the building before the weather became inclement. Okay? So we understand the weather has changed. Informally. "Oh my goodness, oh mate, you wouldn't believe it. It's absolutely throwing it down out there, throwing it down." What throwing it down means is the rain is very heavy. It's raining very, very hard. Throwing it down. Yeah? Sometimes you'll hear, "Oh, it's raining cats and dogs." Really? Cats and dogs? It's just a saying in England. It's raining cats and dogs. Now officially, or formally, I would come in and say, "Oh my goodness, the rain is rather persistent. The rain is rather persistent." It's a good word. It just means it's throwing it down, or it's raining cats and dogs. Now the other type of rain we have is a very strange rain. I've really only seen it in England. It's very fine. It's very, very fine. It's like cobwebs, but it's raining. And all your clothes get wet, but it doesn't feel like it's raining. Yeah? It doesn't feel like it's raining. So we would describe this as a misty rain, So informally we would say, "Oh, the rain's like very misty." Now, if we were going to say it formally, we'd say, "Oh my goodness, I'm wetter than I imagined. It's a very fine rain today. It's a very fine rain." Okay? So, once again, Try and improve your diction. Try and read English books. Listen to weather forecasts. Watch films, see how they describe the weather. Listen to radio stations, see how they describe the weather. See if you can notice words like inclement or persistent or heavy or light. Heavy is to describe heavy rain, light is to describe light rain, or misty rain, very fine misty rain. So, I hope it's not raining where you are. Okay, this is the worst things to do when you're breaking the ice. Yeah? You're wandering around, you're not making eye contact, and if anybody looks at you, you're like a bunny in the headlight, like a rabbit in the headlight. When someone looks at you, it's like, oh no, please don't look at me. Oh no, please don't look at me. If you are nervous, the easiest thing to do is just say hello. Yeah? Somebody looks at you, you say hello, nice big smile. You don't go, oh my goodness, yeah? Or look down. You just say hello. Now, sometimes when you're at a conference or you're at a party, you'll meet lots and lots of people. Yeah? And lots of people may want to talk to you. Or maybe nobody wants to talk to you because you're not making eye contact, or you just don't seem interested, or you just look too nervous, and people won't talk to you if you're too nervous. So what do you do to not be nervous? Well, don't practice in the mirror because you're only looking at yourself. Yeah? A trick what people do is they will say hello to a stranger just anywhere. Yeah? Believe me, it's quite frightening just going up to somebody that you don't know and just saying, hello, how's it going? Yeah? Because in England, and most other places I presume, they think you're a little bit crazy. So maybe it's a good idea just to sort of like walk along and go hi or hello and just walk past the person, just to get you used to talking to people. Yeah? Because it's really important. Because I must admit that I'm very reserved, and when I go to parties I'm quite quiet, so I have to make myself talk, and I have to make myself do eye contact so that I don't seem to be too boring. Well, we've come to that time where we need to know how to eat. Now, if you could see all of me, you'd understand I am what they call in English as portly. Now, a portly person, apart from being super attractive, has a little bit of weight. Yeah? So, if you have a little bit of weight, you are portly. Which is good, yeah? Okay. Some cruel people will say things like overweight. I prefer portly myself. I like being a little bit portly because, well, apparently my mother said it makes me cuddly. My wife doesn't say it makes me cuddly. Now, another word for fat and overeating is obese. Obese. I'm pleased to say I'm not obese. I'm just a little portly. Now, women will say things like this. Oh, I'm holding a few extra pounds. That isn't holding in your hands. You're not the ideal weight. You're a little bit heavier than the ideal weight. Now, other words which describe people who are a little bit chubby, or shall we say, not the same as everybody else, we'll go through them. Now, if you're lucky and you don't hold too much fat on your body, somebody would say, oh, you're quite slim. You're quite slim. However, if you can see your ribs and it looks like you should be fed an awful lot of food, somebody might say to you, oh my goodness, you're looking a little bit skinny. Yeah, skinny. You may have been ill, or you may just have been so busy you couldn't eat. Now, another word for being slim is fit. Somebody will say to you, oh my goodness, you look fit. Have you been exercising? Exercising. So, but fit's funny. It can mean, oh, you look fit, but it can also mean, I am fit. I am physically fit. However, somebody who is portly, like myself, is probably not necessarily that fit. So, I need to be slimmer and less portly. However, how do we eat in England? Well, it's very, very strange. I can assure you it's strange. First of all, let's see when we eat. When we get up in the morning, the first thing we eat, of course, is breakfast. That's great. Breakfast is usually between 6 and 9 in the morning. But in England, you're very lucky. If you miss breakfast, you can then have brunch. Now brunch is from round about 10:30 till about 11:30. Brunch is usually quite a big meal because people who tend to eat brunch get up late and they need extra energy. Well, that's my excuse anyway. A typical brunch meal would be bacon, eggs, mushrooms, sausage, just very big. After brunch, and you're still a little bit hungry, you may decide that you want lunch. Now lunch is anywhere from round about 11:30 till about 2, yeah? But I've missed one out. There is something called 11s. Now 11s is usually a drink of tea with biscuits, and I can assure you, if you eat it along with your breakfast, along with your brunch, and then your 11s, you're probably going to end up portly. So we have 11s. Then we have lunch. Lunch in England can be as little as a sandwich, or you can go to a cafe. Now, if you live in a big city or you live coastally, you can have something which is really nice to eat. But I wouldn't recommend it every day. You may have heard of it. It's called fish and chips. Some people, when it's cold, will eat fish and chips at lunchtime. They do what you call a lunchtime special, which is small fish and small chips. Now, this is very interesting. You eat them in paper, and you eat them with your fingers. So when you come back to work, you smell of fish and chips, and everyone goes, oh my goodness, you smell of fish and chips, they smell gorgeous. I'm afraid they're very addictive, fish and chips. Anyway, despite if you have a sandwich, or despite if you have, so we say, fish and chips, you can think, well, what happens next? I've had my lunch. Well, it must be time for afternoon tea. Well, afternoon tea is round about 2:30 till about maybe 4:30. Afternoon tea is usually attended by retirees, people who don't work anymore. And essentially you would eat muffins, but they're different muffins. They're not like the muffins you get anywhere else. And you also have scones or scones, depending where you live. Scones or scones. Now, I prefer to eat scones, but my mother prefers to eat scones. Scones, I beg your pardon. So, I've eaten my, shall we say, afternoon tea, and now I'm looking forward to dinner. Dinner is usually after 6 o'clock till about 8:30, 8:45. But don't worry, after 8:30, 8:45, you can have supper. Now supper is only restricted by your imagination. Most people, especially young children, will have a very typical English drink, which is called Horlicks. Now Horlicks is a very malty drink and it tastes very, very nice. Yeah? So you'll hear the word, oh, it tastes malty. Malty is very similar to Russian kvass in taste. So it's beautiful in my opinion. So a supper would be maybe a very light sandwich, Horlicks, hot chocolate, and then one goes to bed to start the entire process again. So to recap, we have breakfast, we have brunch, we have elevenses, we have lunch, we have afternoon tea, we have dinner, after dinner we have supper. So you can understand why I'm a little bit portly. Okay, I'm going to talk about how we get to work in England. Now, getting to work, if you live in a big city, is what we call an art form. Art form. The reason why we call it an art form is sometimes you have to use many modes of transport. Modes is different type. If you want to try that word, it's modes. Modes. Okay, so a typical morning, say in London, one walks to the tube station. So you walk to the tube station. Now, when you arrive at the tube station, like any major city's tube station, it is what we call in English packed. Packed. You'll often hear packed like sardines. So, packed like sardines. Sardines are little fish that you find in a tin, and there's lots in a tin. So that's why the English people say packed like sardines. See if you can say that, because it's quite an interesting word or sentence. Packed like sardines. Packed like sardines. Now, when you go down to the tube, it's very orderly. It's very, very orderly, because it's in Britain, everybody is quite orderly. They all stand on the right, very still, like statues, and people who are late for work, usually me, tear down the left-hand side of the stairs. To tear down means to go very quickly. We also use the same word tear to tear paper. So we run down the stairs or we tear down the stairs. When we get to the bottom where the tube is, everybody is reading their newspapers. Reading their newspapers, and with one eye on the board, on the board which tickers. We call it a ticker board, or a ticker tape board, or a flashing board, which tells people the time of their train. Now, when the train pulls into the station, the passengers are always asked to alight. It's a strange word, alight. So when one goes to the train, one alights. Now, interestingly, we get in a train. We don't get on a train. Okay? When we're in the train, usually we're back to being sardines. we're holding on to some rope from the top of this train ceiling, we're rocking, there's lots and lots of people, and generally speaking you can't even read because you can't move your hands. And eventually the train pulls in and the voice says something like this. If I can't understand it, you can't understand it. So you alight, we get off the train and then head towards the escalators. Now everybody stands orderly, everyone goes up the escalators, and at the top of the escalators you then decide how you're going to continue your journey. Now if you're in London, many people have special little push bikes. They're amazing. They look like a suitcase, but they're not. They're actually a little push bike. They unzip them, they pull the push bike out, they sit on and they pedal to work because it's quicker than the bus. Because if you go on the bus, there is usually a great deal of traffic. So a great deal, yeah? And often the traffic will jam. Not jam that you eat, but jam as in you cannot move. Yeah, you cannot move. We call that being jammed. So all the traffic is stopped. And therefore you're late to work. And if you're late to work, the idea of having a little push bike in a bag seems pretty good. Yeah, it's a good idea. However, sometimes you just decide to walk because you get fed up of the bus waiting. But I'm sure it's the same in every other major city. And then one walks to work, generally speaking. And then you face what you call a barrage of questions. In England we use the word barrage to mean a lot. So you get in and they usually get asked, what time is this? And you say, well, the bus was delayed. Then you get asked, why don't you catch an earlier bus? And you think, well, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anyway, an earlier bus, I might as well not go home. So I'm sure it's the same in your big cities. Transport in big cities is very difficult. Traffic often jams. We're often like sardines, which is not really good. And of course, to be honest, I know people stand orderly and calm, but it's really chaotic because everybody wants to be at the same place at once. I don't know what the solution is. I have no idea. I am only an English teacher.